Guys, welcome to yourstory.com. As usual, I bring you great corporate to talk to you, startups and entrepreneurs out there. Today I've got with me Mr. Kobayashi. How are you, sir?
Thank you very much. I'm very fine.
No, thank you. I mean, Your Story is pleased to host you simply because, Canon is in everybody's life. We grow up with it.
Thank you.
And interestingly, you've grown this business 3 times ever since you've come here in 2012.
Thank you very much.
Talk about that a bit, sir. When you took over,
Mhm.
how was the Canon business in India and how has it grown?
Well, when I took over the business 2012, the Canon has already in the phase of expansions. We had only 400 employees in the beginning of 2000 years. Then it grew to the 1,000 employees.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and then I had a chance to have the further expansion of the company for the turnover. I still hold 1,000 employees, by the way, by now. So efficiency is becoming better, I hope.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very nice.
From my basic domains, which is belonging to the 4 majors in the cameras and the printers and the commercial printers and the small printers, I try to develop the first new domain, which is very close each other on the existing domains. So it's like relatives or neighbors, so that we don't need so big investment on it, and still we can utilize existing resources from internally, existing partners we have. So like a good example is the medical side. We found out the print of the medical images like your
ECG.
And CT, MRI can be printed on the paper instead of the traditional films.
Yes.
So that is under the current testimonial phases, and hopefully will be developed.
You'll be launching that soon.
Yes.
So guys who've joined us, you'd find it very interesting. You guys thought Canon was just a camera company. It's much beyond that. It has got a huge B2B side too, and medical imaging is one part of it.
Correct.
Right? So I hope you launch that soon. You also have something around checkbooks. You want to tell us about that?
Well, so if we go to the scanning, so copier machine is a machine to produce a paper. So naturally, I thought the next neighbor business is to scan the document, and we're able to condense the space of storages. So we first go to the document scanner. And in the extension document scanner, then we thought maybe the check scanning is another new domain, because India is promoting to expand the network of the banking in order to cover the whole country by one account, by one family is existing government. So with the check, and especially by scanning by ultraviolet beam to see that if check is genuine or not, UV scanner is maybe I thought it's a big popular game. So we have introduced the affordable machine. Size of machine is actually relatively bigger than the one in US or Japan. But I found out the Indian the window of the bank do not need to concern about the condensing the machine. We have a machine that backwards, and the function is important. So this machine was very well accepted by the market, and we had a quite good business.
It's already in commercial.
Already in the market, and number of new branches which the commercial and government bank has opened, they have started using it.
When you came on board again in 2012, India itself started digitizing.
Right.
So the opportunity must be phenomenal, right?
Sure.
On the B2B side.
That's right.
So how did you approach the B2B segment? Did you go and meet all your partners? Because you sell directly to institutions. You said, let's reduce the paper. Is that how you went ahead with the plan?
To some extent.
Okay.
We had traditionally had a strong direct contact to the user of traditional copier machines, which compose about the half of our business. On the other hand, also rest of the half, we are also partnering with a number of our business components together with our partners to make a business with. So 50-50 in this combination. Yeah.
On the consumer side, young Indians, India is a very young nation. Their exposure to cameras have started with smartphones. Obviously, they all want to aspire to own a Canon. How would you campaign to get more Indians to come and buy cameras? In fact, the camera business is doing very well.
Okay.
What plans have you got for the B2C side?
I think the structure of a camera business has changed in the last 5 years drastically. In the beginning, we had done a very small point-and-shoot camera, most popular game.
Yes.
But now, after smartphone has equipped with the very beautiful camera functions, naturally demand on the simple camera has declined. On the other hand, you can imagine number of clicks of the picture after introduced by the smartphone has tremendously increased. I may say 100 more times picture is taken in the world.
I agree.
Rest, think about maybe 10% of the people who is not happy enough to the quality of the picture from a smartphone is going to go to the serious picture camera, which is having interchangeable lenses and a bigger size of image sensor, thereby able to create a very high quality picture. Is my line of the business exist in the coming time.
Beautiful. So you're saying that it's going to be niche. It'll require a different messaging to get to people who want to get more into higher photography or whatever.
Correct.
So that's the plan for you.
Correct.
So you see India as a big market in Asia for you?
Sure. I think first of all, in nature, Indian people loves photography.
Agreed.
Either it's self-photography or either it's group photography. I think one photo is a key word in this society to live along, and without a group photo at the end of the event, whether it's a wedding or whether it's a group functions, never finished. Particularly in a wedding, the function of the camera and the photo taking is so big compared to the other wedding ceremony I have attended in the world. Yeah.
So you think that's a segment that you want to go after again, and probably it'll remain like that forever in India?
Definitely, this will remain as a one core segment of Canon in photography industry.
Okay, and you've grown the business 3 times from 2012. For those of you who just joined us, I must tell you, I'm with Mr. Kobayashi, who heads Canon India. Interestingly, he's worked 33 years abroad, right?
Yes.
Right? You've not lived in your home country for very long.
Very short time.
And that cultural diversity or that experience helped you in managing India, right? You want to talk about that?
Sure. So culture is very different in terms of corporate operations. Particularly in India, when I arrived this country in 2012, this is very different culture, I have imagined, yes. It took me, to be quite frank, more than 3 years to understand what the Indian staff think most important in their life, other than the money.
What is it? What did you find out?
Good example is if you have 1 lakh cash and 80,000 8,000 gold coin. Which would you like to take? I think many people go to gold coin.
Yeah, in India people go to gold coin.
Yeah, sure. Even value is lesser at that stage. But apart from
that's a very frank statement. It is true. I agree with you on that. But that is changing, you're saying.
Yeah. Apart from gold coin, even I think Indians one of the most highest priority is commitment. And if you show your commitment to this market and this country, I think many of my staff will come with me. And that takes me a time, and that takes me an effort to do it.
But you've done very well. You've got 250 retailers now reporting to you, franchisees. On the B2B side, you have a huge direct selling business. You have a lot of partners there too, I believe.
Right.
How do you manage all of them? Different states, different cultures. Do you travel a lot within India to meet these people?
I have one keyword which is being Japanese called Gemba.
Gemba, yes.
Gemba is the name of the place where actually things is happening. So for me, Gemba is the place which is product is being promoted,
showcase.
When the product is being serviced, when I have complaint from our users. So my way is try to visit as many Gemba as possible, and which is common in all the different domains and different regions from north to south and east to west, so that I can feel the people's actual voice directly to me.
So it's beautiful. So you're saying that if you set up something in a new city, you want to hear the customer voice.
Sure.
You have to make sure that the product is showcased, the right product, and also the service that has problems are addressed. Otherwise, it's not good to do business.
I first go to the Gemba first, then come back to the office to discuss about the framework.
Interesting. And the other interesting aspect of your leadership is each business unit has its own head here. And unlike having a structure where you have multiple C-suite leaders and then multiple role heads, it's like you have only business heads and then there is directly you. Is there a particular reason for that structure in Canon India?
Traditionally, of course, we have a product-oriented organizations.
Correct, yes.
Naturally, the cameras and the copiers and printers are all different characters domains, so we have established a divisional vertical framework to do it. However, I think among this, most important is direct communication between the leaders and the division leaders too. Other than emails and social medias, I prefer to have face-to-face meetings. I always hold at least once a month the meeting to my old employee for 1,000 in India. Naturally, I can only speak to 400, which is located in my headquarters. The rest of 600 is connected via VC, and electrically they will hear my voice directly. And such kind of direct communication is, I think, definitely the key matter to make my team united in this country.
That's a brilliant leadership example. Did you learn this in business school or again your travels?
I think personally, from my experience. Yeah.
That's very fair. And you said you had a diverse childhood also when your father, do you want to talk about your father's experience?
So my father used to work for US Navy, stationed in Japan after World War II. And he works there as an interpreter and a translator there. So naturally, whenever I come back home from my elementary, secondary school days, then sometimes the American soldiers, those are the black, white, red guys hanging around and having Budweiser beers and
Why not?
Yeah, so this, of course, naturally stimulated my feeling of diversification.
That is a super point. I mean, our audience is 18 to 35, most of them young entrepreneurs. If you advise them, apart from using Canon, of course, for their journeys, what would you advise them to do in terms of leadership? If you're starting out somewhere, you keep an open mind. Where do you learn? Do the journeys teach you? Do you want to advise them something?
Well, try everything is my simple advice. The young days, particularly, there is nothing to lose. And I do want to recommend all the people have a global eye. The country in where you are living is just one over 196 countries nominated in the UN.
Yes.
So normally there must be another culture exist out of 195. So definitely there will be another chances to do it. So definitely that I recommend to go abroad, visit the very different countries, and ideally lived in some countries. Definitely, then you pick up some another hints.
Thoughts and ideas. Very fair point. You in terms of revenues, coming back to your business, you want to go to $1 billion soon at some point of time. India is going digital, and is that true? Are we really going digital? Is that a big opportunity for Canon?
Definitely, yes, yes. Especially we are starting our digitization project from a metro. However, of course, potential of second, third, fourth tier cities are huge in this country, which is still not covered yet.
So will you include surveillance as a part of the business?
Yes, definitely.
That's the metro business.
Yes, metro business and uptown business. Maybe model will be different, but the core essence is same.
So is it a lease model that Indians work on, the B2B businesses? Do they like owning assets? Like the cameras, surveillance cameras, for example. Because there'll be connected cameras also. There will be a service, a software component service to it, and there's data analytics to that too. What kind of business model will emerge?
Financially, avoiding risks. Naturally, the hardware and equipment, mostly the customer prefer to be leased.
OPEX.
Yeah, rather than owning it as a fixed asset.
Okay.
Software, of course, is a licenses, so naturally it will be deducted from SGA expenses.
Yes, very
so this is, of course, a running model. So we need to, of course, pay our full attention to our cash flow, so that we can healthily to go through this situation.
So there is interesting business models that's coming up in India too.
I think so.
So great, and on a personal note, what does Mr. Kobayashi read?
Good question.
What are you reading? You get time to read. What do you get inspired by?
So,
photography, of course.
I like history.
Okay.
Especially whenever I'm living abroad, I'm very keen to read the person who connected those two countries. In case of India, there are the attorney called Mr. Barr who participated into the after World War II Tokyo court cases, and who was the Chief Justice of Kolkata High Court, and came to Japan after World War II and
for the trials.
Trials, yes, and has stated a very, very unique and brave decision against the U.S. and British.
So is there a book?
Yeah, yes.
What is the name of that person again?
Tokyo Court.
The Tokyo Court.
Tokyo Court, yes.
It's amazing. So that's a book you'd recommend?
I recommend to read.
Interesting. And what else? What else you get inspired by?
Naturally, I also want to learn from all the other historical person who has made the revolution. Japan had twice in the history had a very revolutionary period.
Yeah,
one
Meiji
Restoration,
yeah.
one, and the other is after World War II.
Yes.
So number of the person who is those period of time is my lovely books. Mr. Hirota, who is ex-president, Prime Minister of Japan, who finally judged as guilty in the Tokyo court case and went to death. But his attitude and his way of diplomatic relation is one of my
inspirations.
Inspiration.
Interesting, sir. On that note, thank you very much. You've been wonderful. Hope to host you soon, and this time in our office. Thank you again, guys. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.